Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard is back, and I, Mikah, Sargent, and Rosemary Orchard are going to talk all about apps and games for your Apple TV. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is iOS Today with Rosemary Orchard and Mikah Sargent, episode 660, recorded Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. Apple TV, apps, and games. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Go to HelloFresh.com/iOS16 and use code iOS16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. And thank you for listening. As an ad-supported network, we are always looking for new partners with products and services that will benefit our audience. With our tailored host-read ads, you will get an authentic and proper introduction to your brand with every ad read. Visit twit.tv/advertise and launch your campaign today. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, HomePod OS, watchOS, iPad OS, and all of the other platforms that Apple puts out there for us to download onto our phones and our tablets and our computers and our smart speakers and our wearables and everything in between. We love to talk about these platforms, the devices, and just in general give you tips and tricks on how best to make use of them. I am one of the hosts of iOS Today, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard, who is indeed back. I got several emails from folks while I was off asking if everything was okay. And yeah, I've just been on holiday for the last couple of weeks. So I'm very excited to be back and diving straight into all great things iOS or tvOS as it is for today.
Yes, I'm so glad you got some time away, some time to rest and relax. Thank you to Christopher Lawley for subbing in. He did a great job while you were out, but yes, we all eagerly awaited your return and are very happy that you're here with us today. So, without further ado, let us kick off today's episode. You know, we don't talk about the Apple TV directly all that often. And neither does Apple. But we thought that it'd be a great time to talk about some of the apps and games that are available on the platform that make, I think, good use of what tvOS provides. Because if you think of it as just a set-top box, right? Just this little puck that you plug in and it gives you access to the different television shows and movies and music videos that are out there. That's fine, but there is a lot more that you can do with this little puck, and depending on how new your puck happens to be, you may be able to do even more. There is a long time app that has existed in the sort of Apple ecosystem, and it has made its way to the Apple TV as well. I was talking to Rosemary about this before the show because it used to be that I remember downloading this app at one time because you go to YouTube, right? And you type in, you know, the name of a new movie. Let's say there's a new movie coming out called The Sponge Who Loves Me. And so I typed that into YouTube, and there are like 3 or 4 trailer options that are from some random place that don't have the full trailer. And then finally you find the actual trailer for The Sponge Who Loves Me. And you get to watch it. With iTunes movie trailers, you know you're seeing the full trailer. You don't have to go searching and trying to figure out what it is. And then, of course, you get some extra features built in. So let's head over to the Apple TV, which you will see momentarily in front of you. Currently, it shows a view over Japan looking toward the Pacific Ocean. That's one of the things. I
love these screensavers. Yes. I just wanted to mention, if you tap on the trackpad of your Apple TV remote, then it'll actually show you where that is, which is really great for something like this. But indeed, any of the views do that. It's really cool.
Absolutely. So I'm going to hit the Apple TV button, which some people would call the home button, which wakes the Apple TV, and we'll scroll down to get to trailers. When I click or tap on trailers, then I can see some of the most recent films that are out. So we've got a film called Underrated. We've got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, Dumb Money. I'm trying to see, I'm judging books by their covers, and I would say that this one here, what's going on? Oh, it's called Cobweb. It's probably scary, so I don't think we'll play that one. Let's play the trailer for Elio. So first of all, this screen here is showing a bunch of new films that will be coming out, but then you can click on any of these and see a bunch of information. First of all, here it's not showing when it's going to be out. Up at the top, it'll sometimes show in that area when specifically it's going to be, what it's rated, if it's coming out soon. But here we can see the director, we can see who stars in this film. We can also see some of the sort of details of the film, and then easily just click to play the trailer. Now, I think in the final we'll have to take out the audio or something so that this doesn't end up, but essentially here we can see the trailer play out. So I'm just going to show a quick little, first few seconds. Of course, this is a Pixar film, and this is showing it in high quality, high detail, and you're getting the actual trailer as opposed to it being some, random thing that's cut it all together. You can add it to your favorites so you can keep track of the films that you want to see eventually. And then up here at the top, you can split between what's featured to top charts. So this includes some films that are out right now, for example, like Spider-Man, what is it? Across the Spider-Verse. We've got a fan. Also Elemental, which I've heard is not doing so well. You can check the calendar to see what films are coming out when and be able to watch through those, the films that are currently in theaters. And then check this out. It shows you in theaters nearby. So I could see, Roner Park is not showing anything today. I have a feeling that this is just, it needs a chance to kind of figure out the location, and then that would work. And then, of course, the favorite films that you add there, or you can search for one. If I have a feeling if I tried to find The Sponge Who Loves Me, I would not find that because I made that up entirely in my head. Anything else you want to say, though, about the iTunes Movie Trailers app on Apple TV?
I mean, I honestly kind of just use this as like a way to scroll through and see what films are upcoming that look like they might be interesting. So, some people like to go to IMDb or other websites to see what's coming up, or just, it comes into their orbit in some way or another. I tend to end up opening this app once every, couple of weeks probably, and just sort of scrolling through and having a look and seeing what's interesting and finding out about new films and so on that way. It's a nice way to find them. And as you mentioned, you end up getting the trailers. You don't have to deal with YouTube adverts to see them, or some random thing that somebody's cut in there, modified audio, etc. You're getting the real trailer, and that's really handy so that you don't end up with random spoilers or something being intersected into it.
Yes, you can, I'm sure, find like the 96th Fast and Furious in here and go, wait, they're making another one? It's, very exciting to kind of scroll through and start to plan out what you might want to watch. This is a great way to stay up to date, because I find that with music, I will have missed some music that has come out, and so I'm going, how can I keep up with that? And I have an app now that does that, but for the longest time, I'd kind of get upset and go back and go, wait, hold on. This group released a new album? I had no idea, because, it's further on down the line in terms of my favorites, the ones that I'm always watching for their latest stuff. Now, this next choice is, I'm really glad that you brought this up, because I do think a lot of people forget some of the perks that they have depending on the services that they're subscribed to. So Rosemary, you kind of had a tip that you wanted to share with folks.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of remind folks, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime Video. And it turns out there's a whole bunch of shows on there. There are some things that are exclusive to Amazon Prime, but there's a bunch of stuff that's available on Amazon Prime to watch that's just included with your subscription. Of course, this is available on the iPhone and the iPad and the Mac, as well as the Apple TV. But if you download that app, then you can actually watch a bunch more stuff on your Apple TV that you may already be paying for, because this is the thing, it's really easy to end up going like, okay, so I'm subscribed to Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max and and then you start listing through and suddenly you've got like 48 different subscription services that you need to sign up for to watch stuff. And so don't forget, Amazon Prime Video is something that you may well already be paying for. And I know quite a few listeners of iOS Today and so on will already have Amazon Prime or if you're trying Amazon Prime for the delivery, then don't forget you get those videos as well. Take full advantage of those 1-2 week trials or even month-long trials that you can sometimes get if you are doing that.
There is a show on Prime. It's technically a freebie show, but freebie is just IMDb. When Amazon bought IMDb, they had like an IMDb TV thing, and then they rebranded it as freebie. That doesn't matter. If you have a Prime subscription, you should absolutely, positively watch a show called Jury Duty. Jury Duty is this incredibly creative show where a guy is told that, because he gets summoned for jury duty, right? And he is told that he is going to partake in a documentary about what it's like to be a member of the jury, to do your civic duty and go and be a jury member. So he knows that there will be cameras. He agrees to be part of this documentary and to kind of get interviewed with the process of signing up for this jury and potentially making it onto the trial. And then if he makes it onto the trial as a member of the jury, then the documentary will continue with him. Otherwise, it'll continue with whoever else happens to make it. So he agrees to do this. What he doesn't know is that while he is an everyday, average, real person, everybody else that's involved, all of the other jury members, as well as the lawyers, the judge, everybody else, they're all actors and are essentially doing like improv in the moment. They've got this whole kind of idea of what they want to do, but it's mostly improv. And then they have James Marsden, who is like, he's known enough that people will recognize him. So he's there to kind of distract him a little bit, because it's, even movie stars end up getting jury duty. So the idea is that like he ended up getting stuck with jury duty, and it is hilarious. It is heartwarming. I ended up crying at the end of it. Like it's really good. So if you have Amazon Prime, and even if you don't, because you can still watch it with freebie with ads, go check out this show, Jury Duty. I can't say enough good stuff about it. Like it was so fun and funny and interesting and clever. And my only thing is that I don't know if they'll ever be able to do it again, because people would probably be on high alert about it. And so that makes me kind of sad, because I kind of want to see how other people would react in these moments. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm glad you brought up Amazon Prime Video. All right, moving along. This app has been recommended to me a number of times, and honestly to listeners of the network. We used to get questions on the Tech Guy radio show regarding Apple TV and kind of staying up to date with what's available and knowing where it's able to be watched. Well, there's a great way to do that. It's called JustWatch. So this app is a way to know where you can or cannot watch different content that's out there. So let us actually, let's do a search for jury duty, and I'm going to hold down the little button to dictate jury duty, and we'll see if that, okay, then we can do a search for that, and up pops jury duty. So I will click on it, and it shows, look, you can watch it on Prime Video. It gives you the information about it, so you can see kind of the rundown of what it's about, what it's rated, what some of the reviews are thus far on IMDb. And then if I click on this button and choose watch season 1, episode 1, it will pop me out into Prime Video right from this app. I hit the back button, so that's why it didn't go. But let's see. Let's just go back to the main screen, the home screen, and see some of the other stuff that's out there. There's a show called Florida Man that's on Netflix. So let's click on that. And then if I click Watch Season 1, Episode 1, then it will ask me to open Netflix. I can open Netflix. And in theory, I don't know if I'm logged into this Netflix on this Apple TV, but if I was, and I might still be, then it would pop me in directly to it. And I think, Rosemary, that is a thing that people might not realize is kind of unprecedented, that you can do these deep links into the different apps, the different streaming services. That's not something that you're going to get everywhere, particularly with Netflix, for example, which does not have that deep level of integration still with the Apple TV. I'm distracted for a moment to say everyone should also watch From. Stephen King recommended it on Twitter, and I started watching it. So you have to be a fan of sort of horror, slow burn, thriller, mystery is how I would describe the show. So if you have the patience for a slow burn, if you have the wherewithal for a horror and the heart for a thriller and the mind for a mystery, it's so good. It's so interesting. It's so weird. I really like that show. Anyway, tell me what you want to say about JustWatch. I think it's such a great app to have in your arsenal on the Apple TV.
It is. And it's a great app, not just to have on the Apple TV, but remember, it exists as a website. You can have it on your iPhone, your iPad, and so on as well. So you can share this with all of your friends. It also exists on Android. Don't worry, folks, who've got friends and family members or even some of their own devices running Android. It is everywhere, and it is location contextualized as well. So if I look for a show over here in the UK that maybe is available on, say, Netflix in the US, but is available through a different service over here, it will show me that service. And it prioritizes showing things that you can stream based on, the subscriptions that you have. But it will also show places where you could buy something to watch it. So, for example, if you wanted to watch Titanic, then you could put it in. And if it's available on streaming services, it will show you that. If it's not available to just stream as part of a subscription service, then it's available just to purchase separately, it will also show you places for that. So it can do things like open the iTunes movie store as well, so that you could rent it or buy it from there, which is just really, really useful to keep in mind when you are trying to, watch something and you don't know where it's available because there's like a bajillion services, and just trying to Google it leads you down the rabbit hole of, this was on Netflix, it's now not on Netflix, but it might be coming back on Netflix. Okay, I don't care if it's coming back to Netflix. If I want to watch it today, I need to know where I can watch it now. So this is definitely a great free app to keep in mind for all of those things that you would like to watch, but you just don't yet know where you can watch them.
All right. And the last one here before we take a quick break is the long-lived Movies Anywhere service. Movies Anywhere was this sort of group idea that you should be able to buy a movie in one place and have that movie show up on your devices and in the services that you have across all sorts of different platforms. So if I buy a movie in the iTunes store, in the iTunes movie store, then I should be able to launch my Xbox and in the movie library there be able to watch that same movie. So basically you log in with your Movies Anywhere account on any number of devices. And depending on the device, it may be kind of like a setting where you, in the settings, go in and log into Movies Anywhere, or it may be an app like it is on the Apple TV. And in the case of what I have, I was able to log in to Movies Anywhere on my Apple TV via the app. And then if I decided to use a Roku device or a Chromecast device, if I log in with my Movies Anywhere account there, then the purchase that I did for Waiting for Guffman, for example, would show up in all of those places. My favorite Halloween movie, Trick or Treat, is available in all those places. Basically, all of these films that I have purchased at some point, and some of these were just whenever Movies Anywhere first launched, they just had some options available for free. So I was like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to get these and add them to my library. But The Social Network, my favorite film, it doesn't matter where I'm watching. There are so many different Movies Anywhere participants that you can end up pretty much watching those movies in very high quality, if not, the highest quality available, regardless of where you are watching it. So, yeah, anything that you wanted to say about the Social Network, anything that you wanted to say about Movies Anywhere, do you have the same access in the UK that we have in the US or similar?
Yeah, it seems pretty similar. It's not necessarily quite as wide. We just don't necessarily have exactly the same services over here. But it seems to work for me and for the things that I've got in there. So I'm quite pleased about that. And it's just like JustWatch. It's worth having in your arsenal so that you can then, watch your things anywhere, because that's kind of what you want to be able to do, right? Just because you have an Apple TV at home doesn't mean you always have an Apple TV to be able to watch stuff on.
Precisely. All right, let us take a quick break so I can tell you about the sponsor today. It's HelloFresh, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. This summer, HelloFresh is here to take the work out of eating well. You can eat well without having to work for it. At least not that hard. Reach your goals with delicious Calorie Smart and Protein Smart lunch and dinner options. Plus, they've got new vegan recipes as well. You can get farm to table quality with every HelloFresh box. HelloFresh's seasonal ingredients are picked at peak ripeness and travel from the farm to your doorstep in less than 7 days for fresh flavor in every bite. I love that because it means I can open the bag and not worry about rotten potatoes or bell peppers that are sticking to the bottom of the bag. These are fresh and ripe and delicious. You can figure out what's for dinner without having to go through that process, because honestly, it's not at the top of anyone's summer activity wish list, trying to figure that out every single day. HelloFresh delivers mouth-watering, chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients to your door so you can spend your summer doing, whatever you want. HelloFresh Market also has new snacks, meals, and more to add on to your weekly order. They've got the fun s'mores bundle for the kids, or for those of you who are kids at heart. You can make entertaining easy with a selection of crowd-pleasing eats like their bratwurst bar with caramelized onions, Dijonnaise slaw, and pineapple relish, or a snack board with pretzel bites, spiced bar nuts, and hot honey peach jam. If you need dinner ready like now, well, you should look for the quick and easy recipes on the HelloFresh menu, including fast and fresh options ready in just 15 minutes or less. HelloFresh is more convenient than grocery shopping, but did you know it's actually cheaper too? It's also 25% less expensive than takeout. No matter your lifestyle, you'll always find delicious recipes on the HelloFresh menu. You can take a bite out of something new with 40 recipes to choose from weekly, and you can even swap proteins and sides to make a recipe just how you like it. I had a lot of fun making some HelloFresh meals. When you get them, you get these little recipe cards, and they've got all the information that you need to know about what ingredients you have that are included, what you might need on your own. So, for example, black pepper, some butter, and then also the tools, a peeler, a zester, a baking sheet, and then it shows you kind of what's in the bag, what you can expect to use to make the meal. And they're fun to go through with. They're fun. I've saved one that I plan on remaking because it was so delicious. And this was one of the fast and fresh meals. Like it didn't take take me very long to make, and yet the flavors were just so yummy, so good that I wanted to continue to make that meal in the future. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this, and we've got a great deal for you. So you have no reason not to try it. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/iOS16 and use the code iOS16 for 16 free meals plus shipping. That's why the 16 is there. That's HelloFresh.com/iOS16 and use code iOS16 to get 16 free meals and free shipping. If I heard that, I would have been hopping on this a lot soon. As soon as I heard this, why not? 16 free meals and you don't have to pay for the shipping? Come on, let's get some delicious food. Let's let you try some new ways to make a meal, and potentially, HelloFresh might be the way that you go. So much fun stuff that you can make, and I have... honestly, every HelloFresh meal that I've had, I very much enjoyed. So thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Let's head back into the show, this time to talk about a few other apps, including some games that are available on Apple TV. The first one, we got to get out our claws because it's time to talk about Mr. Crab. All right. So you've talked about this before, Rosemary. This is one of the apps that actually inspired me to want to suggest that we do an Apple TV apps and games episode because one of us had talked about Mr. Crab just in general, and then I remember you mentioning that it was also available on Apple TV, and I thought, this game does make sense for Apple TV, and I went home and downloaded it immediately to play there.
Yeah, so it's a great little game, and you just use your Apple TV remote, you click to jump, and Mr. Crab just runs in a circle. But fortunately, he's on a little spiral, and so as you go around, you need to try and collect your bubbles, you need to dodge any hazards that might pop up, like, for example, little holes. And if you fall down a level or something, then you just drop below and you wait until you hit a bumper, and then you'll start running back in the other direction.
Darn it, I did it again.
There we go, yeah. So you'll get better at it as you go, Mikah. Perfect, see? There we go. You call it the purple bubble. You just have to remember purple is best. As you go through the first level, it will teach you how to do different kinds of jumps, like jumping higher, where you press and hold and things like that. It's a fun, very simple game that I enjoy just having around. It doesn't require a huge amount of thought and concentration, but it's just entertaining every time I play it. As you progress, you can get through the levels, you get points that can unlock new characters for you to play with, and so on. I believe there's a Ms. Crab and various other characters, and it's just good fun. You get confetti at the end, as you've just seen. So well done, Mikah. You got a good score there.
Yay.
This is a fun one, and unlike some other games that are available on Apple TV, this works exceptionally well with just a good old-fashioned Apple TV remote. Whether you have one of the new silver ones or one of the older black ones, it'll work with both. No problem, and you don't necessarily need to bust out something like an Xbox controller and connect that to your device instead, which is something that you can do. Believe it or not, you can actually connect an Xbox controller to your Apple TV to play games. So yeah, worth remembering that when you are playing some of these, especially some of the ones from Apple Arcade. If you've got that, they work a little better when you connect something like an Xbox controller, PlayStation controller, or the Nintendo Pro controller. I should note they do need to be wireless controllers for this to work. The wired ones do not work, but you can take full advantage of the games on the Apple TV, which is good fun. Though sadly, from experience, some of the games that are available you would think are fabulous, and then you try playing like Sonic, and it's just not as good as it was on the original SNES.
Yeah, that's sad. But I am having a lot of fun playing this, and I love it's pretty much just one button interaction.
Exactly. Like, you can teach people to play this very quickly. Like, kids will figure it out. It's very, very understandable immediately, and you can even have people like placing bets of, okay, well, if you get through this level, I'll do the washing up.
That's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Except I'm worried that I would end up doing it because my my partner's a gamer, so I think I would end up doing all the washing up every time.
I think this is not like the kind of game where you have to be good at gaming to get this. Like you'll be able to figure it out pretty quickly regardless.
Oh, I can use the snail to keep me safe from the starfish.
Yeah.
If people are listening to this and not watching it, that's just going to be very confusing. This is a lot of fun, and it was available for free on the App Store, which is quite a delight. Up next is one of my favorite games, and this is available as part of the Apple Arcade subscription. I've played this game a lot on my iPhone and on the iPad as well. But it is also available on the Apple TV, and I think this could be a fun way to kind of see a large screen of beautiful patterns, because the game is called Patterned. So if you have an Apple Arcade subscription, either directly or through one of the other sort of premium options, then you will be able to play this game. It's having trouble loading right now on the Apple TV. Let me... I think force quit it, and we'll try again to get it loaded. But you could almost think of it like a jigsaw puzzle game that you play through and create wallpapers and screens. Yeah, it's oddly kind of loading off to the side on this Apple TV, so I don't know what's going on here. But I've played this on the iPhone, and you get these beautiful wallpapers that you can make your background if you want. And that's one of the things I like about... That's a kind of quality I like in games, is when I end up with something at the end. It helps me kind of justify, for me, having spent time on it, where it's more than just... doing a thing over and over again. But at the end, you get this beautiful wallpaper. Sadly, not able to be used on the Apple TV itself, but at least if you play it on the iPhone or elsewhere, you can, create a screen out of it. So, I don't think I'm going to be able to show this one, unfortunately, on the Apple TV. It's just struggling to load. I wouldn't be surprised if it's because I've logged into Apple Arcade on a phone running a beta, and so now it's having trouble communicating with the Apple Arcade servers or something. Anything you want to say about that before we talk about Drawful? I also was not able to get that one. Patterned, again, Apple Arcade. Drawful, available in the App Store for $9.99. So this is a premium game, and it's one that you can have a lot of fun with. It's part of the folks who make the Jackbox Party Packs. I've had a hoot and a holler playing Drawful. I imagine you have as well.
I have. I've definitely had a lot of fun playing Drawful. Essentially, what happens in Drawful is it'll pop up a code on the screen. Everybody opens the Jackbox website on their personal device. So that could be a tablet, that could be a phone. It doesn't have to be an iPhone or an iPad. You don't have to install any apps. You type in the room code. Once everyone's joined, you all get given a prompt. You have to draw your prompt. There is no eraser. This is very important to note. There is no eraser. There's no adjustments to the fineness of your pencil or anything like that. You are just using your finger to draw on a screen. The prompts can be very weird. Sometimes they can be very fun. So you draw it, and then everybody has to try and guess what you've drawn and give it titles and things like that, and try and get points from each other. It is a lot of fun, and you can actually get this as part of some of the Jackbox Party Packs as well, or Jackbox games, which are also available for Apple TV. But the Jackbox games are also available on other platforms. So folks may have already encountered them, for example, on Steam or Nintendo Switch. Definitely recommend checking these out if you're looking for games that folks can play together without everybody having to download and install apps. You just open a web page. If grandma doesn't have an iPhone or an iPad and she's just got a dumb old flip phone, you could lend her your iPad. As long as she can use her finger to draw on the screen and tap, she'll be good to go. So it's a lot of fun, and certainly a great party game for folks.
Up next is Crossy Road, which is, I think, a well-known game at this point. It is excellent to play on the Apple TV. Works very well, looks really good, and I think is a delight. So let us start. I've got a chicken here, and it's showing that I start by using the trackpad. I can click to move in a specific location or in a specific way. And there we go, swipe over and swipe up and swipe over and swipe up. And now we get to the road that needs to be crossed. And if you've ever played Frogger, this sort of interaction will be familiar to you. You want to get across the road before you get hit by a car, or in that case, a train. And then we've got some logs that we can use to get across. And then once again, we are trying to get past these cars. And then another train. And the sign shows when the train is coming. And so I was able to get across there. Oh, no, I landed in the water.
Oh, you jumped into the river. Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed there was a little lag going on. So depending on which Apple TV you're using, you may experience some lag that could impact. But it is still worth checking if it works on yours. It could also be because we are doing all sorts of stuff like, showing what's on the screen and whatnot. But there was some lag involved there. Crossy Road is available for free in the App Store. And it doesn't seem to have any in-app purchases, from what I could tell.
So it does have some in-app purchases where you can pay to play as other characters and so on instead of playing as the chicken. But overall, I've never paid anything for this game, which is I slightly regret because the developers certainly deserve some support for it. So maybe I should go buy some of the in-app purchases to give them some support. But it's a good fun game, and it doesn't matter which Apple TV remote you have. If you have the older one, the black one, then that will work fine. But if you do have the newer one, and I've just managed to hit my microphone, well done, Rose, that's got the silver one that's got the circular trackpad with the buttons around it, you may find that a little easier to use actually, because you can just click up or down. Well, you can't click down in Crossy Road, but you can click left and right, and it will move you left and right, as well as being able to swipe as you go. So it's certainly nice to have that as an option. And if you're not ready to upgrade your Apple TV, you can upgrade to the new Apple TV remote, which charges via USB-C, which may be an improvement for folks, especially as this one's going to Find My Location with iOS 17.
Yeah, I would prefer to play it with the little directional arrows. Alto's Adventure is next. You can get it for $4.99 in the App Store, and it's made by Snowman. Snowman makes incredible apps and games. So it's going to be beautifully designed. It's going to have great sound design. It's going to have wonderful interactions. And I think people will be familiar with Alto's Adventure just in general.
Yes.
So here is kind of the loading screen. And as you mentioned, Rosemary, this game supports controllers. I wish I had an Xbox controller. I could show kind of how that works. So Rosemary has a beautiful pink Xbox controller that unfortunately we can't pass the wireless over the internet to us here, or else we could do that.
It's not going through the camera somehow, Mike. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I think we need to do a little bit of an update. But
That's
you can
issue, isn't it?
Yeah, you can pair these controllers to your Apple TV, and we can put a link in the show notes as to how to do that. But Xbox controllers, PlayStation controllers, PlayStation 4 onwards, Nintendo Pro controllers, the wireless versions, and some other Bluetooth controllers can be connected to your Apple TV, which will enable you to use them, which can be great for games like this, especially if you've got folks like Mikah's partner who are more into games and gaming, then they'll be much more familiar with using this sort of controller, and it can certainly be a lot easier. I know, like when I'm sitting there playing Zelda, for example, it's a lot easier to be using this shape controller than to try and do touchscreen. It just doesn't seem to work for me, and therefore trackpad doesn't either for that sort of thing.
And here I am playing through Alto's Adventure a little bit. It's kind of an endless runner game, and I'm grinding and doing some backflips, and landing gives me more points. or rather more speed, which increases the size. Oh no, I missed that. Increases the size of my, I don't like the look of this warning sign. You'd better be careful. My scarf as I am working. It's a huge chasm. Make sure you have enough speed and time your jump right. Whoa! Oh no, I didn't time my jump right. So I crashed, but I was able to reset and keep going here. So let's try. Oops, I should have done that differently. Yeah, no, that's bad. So as you go through, you are collecting your llamas as you go down. And okay, let's try one more time. Oh, I was trying to get more speed. Okay. Anyway, that's Alto's adventure. Yes. The last one in this section is an app called Breathing Zone. And I'm really glad that you suggested we include this one, because Breathing Zone is an app that kind of brings the mindfulness experience to the Apple TV. So you open it up and you see this kind of illustration of multiple little leaves of different colors, and you can set the settings so your breathing rate might be 6 beats per minute, and how long you want to go, what the pattern looks like. You can do breathing zone, equal zone, extended exhale, or 4-7-8 breath. And then the sound that's made, and the voice, you can choose, well, let's see, between female and male, or have no voice at all. And then let's go back we can also change the color. If we don't want multicolor, maybe we just want one, like this beautiful orange color, very invigorating. And then when we click breathing, then it gets small. And we inhale, we hold, and we exhale and hold. I'm going to switch this back to the main breathing here of Breathing Zone, and then we'll go back and we will breathe together. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I'd have to say it's rather it's faster than I am used to doing. Usually you inhale and you hold it for a little bit, and then you exhale and you hold it for a little bit to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. In any case, Breathing Zone is also available for free in the App Store. I wish that it could have an integration with Apple Health to track my mindfulness minutes. That'd be cool. But I imagine that API might not be accessible from tvOS. I
believe that was one of the APIs that was announced at WWDC this year. I could be wrong, but I know that they did announce some more health integrations and fitness integrations available to developers. And so I'm hoping that the Breathing Zone folks will be able to work on that and integrate that. So for those of you who have an Apple Watch, for example, will actually be able to integrate it and use it and link all of that up. But it's certainly a nice option if you'd like to try, for example, the breathing exercises available on the Apple Watch, but you don't have an Apple Watch and you do have an Apple TV, have a play around with the settings and adjust them to see what makes the most sense for you, and give it a try. It's certainly a nice free way to give it a go.
And then last but not least, let's not forget that soon, this fall, there will be a new version of tvOS available. And when that new version comes, there will be some new features. You linked to an article from let me try that again, from Make Use Of, that has information about the new features you can expect. I will say I have tried using FaceTime with the Apple TV, and it was a really neat experience. So FaceTime is coming to the Apple TV. Essentially what is going on there is they're using the continuity camera features that link your iPhone to, right now, your Mac, where you can use your iPhone as a camera. They've made this possible using the Apple TV. So you pull up FaceTime on the Apple TV. It asks you to connect a nearby iPhone. So I am able to connect it with mine. And then the camera on the iPhone suddenly becomes my camera view. And then my TV has the view of my other participants. I can take my phone and place it sort of on a mount near the television, or even closer if I want it to be. and then using the center stage features and all of that magic, it will readjust the screen, or rather the camera, to show the participant or participants in the view. And I have found it quite delightful, and I'm looking forward to using that in the holidays that are coming up.
I was just going to say, it's going to be really interesting to see this. And also, I think just things like being able to find that darned Apple TV remote when, there's a reason why I have mine in a silicone case, because this metal just slides into my sofa somehow. It has like a magnetic attraction to the sofa bed inside of my sofa. And so it just junk goes in there. So I pop mine in a silicone case. But being able to find it when it goes missing, it's going to be very handy.
And then the other feature that is coming to the Apple TV that I'm super pumped about is VPN support on Apple TV. So right now, it is a little bit complicated for the average user to be able to play to activate a VPN for the Apple TV. You've got to do some kind of behind the scenes stuff to make it work before you then get VPN use, or you can, use your router that has a VPN, blah, blah, blah. This is going to make it so that if you have a VPN that you use, that you pay for, maybe ones that you don't pay for, I don't suggest using those, but if you do, then right there within the Apple TV, you're able to turn on that VPN and make use of it. Apple Music Karaoke improves so that you can kind of partake in the experience with singing and dancing, which is fun. And then, I don't know, have you seen, I really like the new Control Center design. I think it's gorgeous, and it has everything that I want right there. Fast user switching is a lot better, and it also is smart about if you choose to, instead of using the remote, use your iPhones as the remote, then the person's iPhone that's connected to it will make it that person's account as the one that's on the Apple TV. So let me try to rephrase that. Let's say Pete and Candace have an Apple TV that they share, and they both have their own Apple TV accounts. If Pete uses Pete's iPhone to turn on the Apple TV will switch to Pete's account. If Candace uses Candace's iPhone with the remote app that's in Control Center to do stuff on the Apple TV, then it switches to Candace's account. So it's a pretty neat little kind of extra feature to make sure that the right account is active at a given time. Now, if only third-party apps would better integrate with the user switching that's on Apple TV, then I would have everything I need in life. Because right now, every time I launch an app, the first thing I have to do is choose which account I want to use. Please just look at what the account is. Apple has made that feature available for the longest time in tvOS.
I know.
And no one enables it. It's so frustrating.
No, it would be really great if your Apple TV user could link to your Disney Plus or your Netflix or your Hulu user. So if I am logged in, if I'm using the Apple TV as me, then I don't need to, select me and Disney Plus and so on and so forth. It would be really nice to just not have to worry about that. But as it is right now, we're not there. But the new Control Center really does look great. And I'm particularly a fan of how things like the sleep timer and so on have been surfaced. And I'm also quite excited by the enhanced dialogue feature, which is going to be coming in tvOS 17. So at the moment, there is a reduce loud noises option available most of the time if you swipe down from the top when you're watching something on Apple TV. And you switch to the audio tab, then there's an option to reduce loud noises, which means that if you're watching something that usually, the volume goes along at a fairly consistent level, and then there's bam, explosions, and then it goes back to this normal level, it will reduce, the massive increase there. Enhanced dialogue is an accessibility feature, essentially, which attempts to pick the dialogue out of the audio that's playing and enhance it. So, folks who maybe have difficulty hearing things will be able to, actually, hopefully, fingers fingers crossed, hear the audio with what's being said instead of having to rely 100% on subtitles. So yeah, I'm glad that that sort of thing is coming as options for folks who need that.
Alrighty, it is time to move along to the news. The news is up next. First in the news, I have to say I was a little surprised when I was perusing the news this morning and I saw what to my wandering eyes should appear but an increase in prices for a friend I hold dear. Why is Apple... Thank you all for acknowledging my rhyme. Thank you for the applause. You can't hear it, but there's applause in the studio right now. There's not. Anyway, so iCloud storage prices have raised in the UK and in other places. What is going on? It's already expensive enough to get... It bothers me that the free storage is so small and gives so many people so many issues, and they're raising the prices on you. What's going on, Rosemary?
Yeah, so I think this is a combination of a number of things. You know, the prices for this haven't budged in a while. The price for Apple One, the bundle, which includes Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, etc., and iCloud storage, those went up last year in the autumn. But the individual prices for iCloud storage didn't. And I suspect it's one of those things where, exchange rates and so on have changed, so they are updating the tiers. Apple doesn't follow the exchange rates precisely. They sort of set a price and stick with it for quite a while. But as it is, it was 79 pence a month for 50 gigabytes of storage. It's now going up to 99 pence a month for 50 gigabytes of storage. I do wish they offered more at a lower price, because as it is, attempting to talk my parents into paying £2.50 for 200 gigabytes of storage was difficult. As it is, we have an Apple family account and I pay for Apple One, so that solved that problem. That was my Christmas present to them. But talking people into paying more money for cloud storage to back up their devices, and in particular their photos, which if they went, people would be really upset about, is always difficult. So yeah, I'm sad that it's going up in price, although it is understandable to an extent.
Yeah, that's why this frustrates me. I understand that things are expensive and we know how this works. We know we're happy paying what we pay. I also kind of just went the way of having the premium and then having family on it. But you can't necessarily get that through to someone who you want to have more storage. And so it's just this frustrating thing where I wish that it started at 200 gigs and then went up from there. Because I think I could convince maybe someone $12 a year. That's all you have to do. $12 a year. And you're not going to have to worry about this. So yeah, it's frustrating. Let's see what else here. So Mac Rumors has gone through and talked about some of the new stuff that has come to iOS in the second beta of iOS 17. Of course, they're working through the developer betas right now. The second beta was released, and they'll continue to release betas before the public beta in July, at which point Rosemary and I will be able to kind of dig in and talk about specific features, and more folks will be able to kind of get on the beta train if they want to and join in the fun. But as the betas make their way through this summer, this is the time where Apple tests the software, looks for flaws, fixes them. Then once we get to the fall, the true versions will be released, typically in line with new iPhones. And some of the new features that you will find include a new update screen. I like that it does have more information on the update screen. So it's in the software updates. You can kind of see what you need to know about the public beta whenever that will eventually come, as well as the Apple Developer Program in general. Apple designed apps are getting these new app tip features, which is really neat. This is actually a whole new system that Apple has introduced to give third-party apps a common language for showing tips inside of their apps. So what's great about that is that it becomes familiar to the user in a way that they know that if they look for that grayish, tannish, rounded rectangle, that's going to tell them how to use an app. And so that common design language will give people kind of a comfort as they learn how to make use of an app. Location settings also include a new micro-location feature. We don't yet know what that means, but I would not be surprised if it has something to do with ultra-wideband chips and a specific location in an area, or it could just be that as these iPhones and especially the Apple Watch, I think the Apple Watch Ultra is a great example of this because the satellite that's built into it, the GPS technology that's built into it, not the satellite, there's not a satellite inside of this thing, is very, 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 very hyper detailed in location. So when we think of micro location, we're thinking of, tiny increments of movement to tell where somebody is in a moment. It's unclear to me if, that is pulling from the Apple Watch Ultra. If it's pulling from an iPhone, we will probably learn more about micro location as time goes on. Check-in, which is a great new feature that gives you and I won't go into a bunch of detail about this, but essentially lets you share with friends that you're about to take a trip somewhere, you're about to walk somewhere, you're about to drive somewhere, and if you in that journey end up stopping, then the phone can kind of check in with you and see if you're okay, and if not, then it will contact those friends and let them know where you are. That has gotten some little adjustments, and then using crossfade in the music app no longer crashes, and you can also change how long a crossfade is if that's something that you're into, as well as some other small changes. I don't want to read through the whole MacRumors article because then you won't go there, and I don't want to remove the value of checking it out. So obviously, check out the link in our show notes. But yes, we're going to see these small little refinements and the introduction of new features that Apple announced but don't yet have ready for the betas coming out over the course of the next few months. Anything else you want to say about iOS 17 Beta 2? How's shortcuts working for you? Because I remember you saying that you couldn't get shortcuts to launch.
Yeah, I was having an issue with shortcuts launching, and I'm pleased to report that, thanks to a lovely listener here, I was able to find the problem. Wasn't a specific person's problem, but unfortunately an app that I was using had an app intent that seemingly was causing shortcuts to crash. So I filed feedback, contacted the developer who did their absolute best to try and find out what's going on here, because I didn't do anything special to break it. And fortunately, Beta 2 has fixed it for that app developer, and temporarily uninstalling that app did resolve the issue in the meantime. Unfortunately, my iPhone is not showing up right now, so I'm going to have a look and see if I can fix that. But one of the things I did want to note is the automations that were added, specifically the new automations trigger for transactions. So when you use Apple Pay on your iPhone to, for example, as a transit pass or as identity or to buy something, there's now a little thing in here which says receive transaction as input. And it gives you things like the merchant and the amount and things like that. And that is going to be so handy for budgeting apps. I think this is going to be super, super cool. So I'm really excited to see that. And, some of the other refinements and tweaks, but shortcuts is just so fast now, Mikah. It's great. Like, it wasn't slow before. It was slow when I was demoing it because I have got so many apps and so on, and I was sharing my screen, but now it's just super fast and it's great. I'm really excited.
That is exciting. Any other stuff you want to mention in the news before we move on? Because we're running out of time.
Nothing super huge, though. There is a new AirPlay 2 adapter from Eve, who was recently purchased, which seems to be sort of coming soon. And so if folks are looking for an AirPlay adapter for some speakers that they've already got, there is a great Logitech one. I think there's a Belkin one as well out there, but there looks to be an Eve one incoming as well. So options abound for those folks who already have great speaker systems but would like to have AirPlay integration on those.
I am hoping that this version is going to have some great audio options because I have the one from, I believe I have the Belkin one. either the Belkin or the Logitech one. I don't recall at the moment, but whichever one it is, it's pretty low audio streaming quality, and I would love it if we see one from Eve that kind of improves upon that. And based on the port options on the back, it's looking pretty neat. So I will eagerly. I know I'll have to reach out to their press people and see what they have to say about it, because that looks cool. It'd be cool to talk about it. All right, with that, I think we should move along to Shortcuts Corner. This is the part of the show where you write in with your Shortcuts Corner requests, and Rosemary Orchard, our Shortcuts expert, provides a response. Rosemary has been gone the past 2 weeks, so we have not done Shortcuts Corner, so I know you all are itching for us to return to normalcy, a sense of calm and peace with Rosemary answering these questions. So without further ado, I do need to get into this question, as it is quite a wordy one. Cody writes in to say, Mikah and Rosemary, hey there. I've been on iOS for a while now, but I'm still slowly venturing into the world of automation and shortcuts. Recently, I started a new job where I work with all things Apple. While I'm learning a lot and making progress, there's one thing I'm struggling with: setting up appointments across multiple calendars at once. Here's the backstory. I've been going to the chiropractor a few times a week to help with back pain. The appointments are quick, but they're during work hours, so, this is me editorializing, so I have to take time off. When I get the date and time for my 15-minute appointment, I put it in my personal calendar so my wife and I can plan our schedules. Then I create an out-of-office event. It doesn't have to be official, just a marker to block my schedule for 30 minutes before and after the appointment on my Google Workspace account. After that, I create an event on a shared calendar that my team can see. This one doesn't need to be marked as free or busy and doesn't need to be shared with anyone. Finally, I create another 2 events on my Google Workspace calendar for the entire time: 30 before, 15 during, and 30 after. This time, I invite around 8 for each people, but the appointment needs to show as free so it doesn't block off their calendars. These have to be separate, as they are my immediate coworkers for one and my clients for the other. Whew, that's a lot to keep track of. I've been using Fantastical for a while now, both on my Mac and my iPhone and iPad, but it takes a lot of time and effort each week to set up these appointments and ensure I'm doing it properly. If the time/dates were the same, I would just duplicate the events, but since they change and there are so many calendars, it's hard to make sure I get everything covered correctly. I'm wondering if there's a shortcut or perhaps a calendar app that I can use to automatically set up each appointment on all 4 calendars using some kind of preset logic. Is this even possible? And if so, could you point me in the right direction? Thanks for all you do. It is a blast to listen to the show. I got the Who team to listen every Wednesday in the office. Oh, I got the whole team to listen every Wednesday in the office. We all enjoy it. Hello, Cody's team. Thank you for listening in. And if you heard that, it was the sound of Cody's back cracking as they get an adjustment in the chiropractor. P.S. The pup tax is here as he interrupted me on writing this email to get his picture taken. He knows what a phone can do. So we have a photo. Oh my goodness, what a good boy. Look at that big tongue. Oh, so this is a sweet big boy. I'm not sure. It could be some sort of lab mix. I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful sort of tan and white dog, and just looks happy as can be, hanging out on a lawn, just chilling. And now I want to pet the dog. Thank you for paying the pet tax, Cody. Thank you for writing in. I'm curious to hear what Rosemary has to say. The first thing that came to mind for me was the templates feature in Fantastical, but I would imagine you've got some shortcuts magic that you might want to work into it.
Yeah, so I am having a slight problem. I'm guessing beta magic has happened, and in this case, not so magic. So if I try and show my iPhone on screen right now, you get a lovely black box. So I'm just going to walk folks through this verbally, and I'll try and include the shortcut in the show notes so that folks can actually download this and give it a play.
Maybe I can go through it while you're talking.
Sorry?
Maybe I can try to create the shortcut while you're talking.
Yeah, I can walk you through creating it, Mikah. That would work really well. So essentially, kudos to Cody. He has already gone through and figured out the logic that is needed. Okay, so to start with, what we need to do is we need to ask for input so that we can then get the time of the appointment, because this is where everything happens. Cody's figured out 30 minutes before, 15 minutes after the end of the appointment. The appointments are 15 minutes. So when we ask for input, we can then change the text to time, which is the first thing that we want, possibly date and time. I'm guessing you don't necessarily make these appointments on the day that they're going to be there. You might make them a few days in advance. And you could put in a prompt here, but we don't necessarily need to do that. Either way, so that's a good start. So now we've got the start time of the appointment. So then we probably need to figure out the end time of the appointment. So we can look for the adjust date action, which will then allow us to adjust that date. Ta-da! Magic. So we're going to add 15 minutes to this, and this is going to give us the end time of the appointment. So then we've got our start time and our end time. And then from here, we can add a calendar event. Now you can use the calendar actions for this, or you can use Fantastical's actions, whatever you prefer. I would recommend that we just use the calendar for this, and there we go, add new event.
Add new event.
I saw,
where did that go? Let me just type in
further
event
down, I think.
And then hopefully that'll find it better. Get upcoming events, add event.
There we go. Add new event.
Okay.
Perfect. So in the title, we can put the chiropractor as the appointment. So this is the main appointment. And then in the from section, when we pop into there, we can tap on select variable. And then select provided input. Okay. Ta-da! Very simple. Now you can rename this. So where it says variable name, you can actually set this to like appointment start. For example, you don't have to do that though.
Then we'll put this as appointment start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to keep things nice and clean and simple so we know what we're looking at later. Cool. And then in the to section where it's got a sort of placeholder for tomorrow at 1 p.m., again, we'll tap into that, select variable, and then we will use the adjusted date, which we can change to our appointment end, so that we know what that one is. So we've actually already learned like the most important parts here. But if Mikah taps on the little arrow in this add appointment, then we can make sure that we get this into the right calendar. So you could select different calendars here. And so for example, in this case, probably the main calendar, you probably want to turn off show compose sheet.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's going to pop up and ask you to confirm it every single time. And when you're adding like 4 or 5 events at once, it's going to get annoying. But by doing this, we've already got adjusting dates and times and adding calendar events. So then you'll reuse this logic to adjust the date from the start. So you'll go back 30 minutes from the start, appointment start time. So you'll add another adjust date action, which is actually suggested at the bottom.
Nice.
And then this time instead of add, we'll make it subtract.
Subtract.
And then we can change that to 30 minutes. So it'll be 30 minutes. And then where it says new event, we want to sort of tap and hold.
Tap and hold, okay.
Yeah, if you tap and hold, then it should give you the option to select. And there we go. So the appointment start is right at the top under our clear. Our nice variable naming has helped us. So we've got our appointment start, and then we can adjust our appointment end date the same way.
Okay, so I'll add another
appointment. Yeah.
Adjust date. Okay, and then we'll do...
And then we want to add 15 minutes to the end, to the appointment end.
And we'll tap and hold, and we'll do appointment end. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. And then we would simply add another event here
so we'll
with
do
that.
Event.
And this is the second calendar event, so the one that's blocking out your time. And so, you could just type AFK or something in there.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure exactly what Cody needs, but and then we'll go through the same process of selecting the tapping into the various things and selecting the modified ones. And these can be renamed as appropriate to whatever makes sense. And so this is good, but the one thing that Cody noted here that they need to do, which we don't have in the extended options, which you'll want to make sure that you've turned off show in Compose Sheet, is setting this to be busy or free. Because that's something we need to be able to do. So, Mikah, if you look in the actions inside of Shortcuts under the edit calendar or under the apps for calendar.
I'll tap on apps and then I'll tap on calendar.
Yeah. Exactly. Then there should be an edit calendar event.
Edit calendar event
option
right
down.
there. Yeah.
Perfect. So this will allow us to change details of the calendar event that we've just added. So if you tap on the detail option, then it should give us a number of things, such as attendees. That'll be very helpful for Cody. And if the calendar supports this, the free busy status, then it should also offer the option for that.
Set my status of the new event.
And so you should be able to set that to something. I believe the status here is for event invitations rather than anything else. But I'm not sure.
Notes.
I know Outlook's calendars do support this, and I believe that shows up in Shortcuts. Certainly it did when I was testing this earlier today. But yes.
Yeah, so I wonder if I had chosen a Google Calendar as the calendar. Let's do my Twit account. And then we'll see if that lets me change that to yes.
Make sure that it's looking at the right calendar event when you're editing as well, because that'll be editing the event just above it rather than the one that you've got expanded.
Oh, okay. So should I move set my status? Should I move that up?
Well, you can just tap and hold on the new event variable in there.
Okay. And then
and then you can select variable, and then you'll be able to select the specific
variable,
calendar
and
event.
then I want to do that one. Okay, there we go. And then to value set.
I think the my status is specifically for just like invitations. So there's something in there. But either way, you can definitely add the attendees into this, which is incredibly useful. There's all sorts of things that you can do there. So fingers crossed, this is going to give Cody the starting point that they need to do everything. The only thing that may be a question mark is depending on which calendar service you're using. If you can set the free busy status. But if you only have to open your calendar and edit the free busy status of a couple of events quickly when you've done this, still feels like that's going to be a win over having to enter 4 appointments manually, which is going to be a pain. And also, even if you are using something like Fantastical templates, which are really great, I highly recommend them. But because you need 4 events based around the same date time, that's going to be kind of tricky to manage. So just one of those things where I think that Shortcuts is the best solution for this. So good luck, Cody. Right back if you run into any trouble, and I'll see if I can get a completed version of this. Maybe not in time for the show notes tonight, but just maybe emailed to you later or something so that we can get a good example ready.
Absolutely. That is a fantastic question, a fantastic pet tax. And now I want to take a quick break before we come back with our app caps. Look, here at Twit, we are dedicated to building a highly engaged community of tech enthusiasts by offering them the knowledge they need to understand and use technology in today's world. That's what we do on iOS Today every single Tuesday. In order to do that, though, we need to create partnerships with trusted brands and make incomparable introductions between our audience and our partners. Like HelloFresh that I talked about earlier. You out there can keep your brand in front of your target audience and continue to grow it. Twit, we deliver powerful host-read ads like you heard by us, the tech experts. And according to Nielsen, 56% of podcast listeners pay more attention when a host reads an ad on their show. We pride ourselves on delivering information relevant to our audience. 72% of our listeners have a job function directly related to technology, and 87% are involved with tech and IT decisions. We have top earners listening to our shows. Overall, 66% of our audience earns more than $100,000 annually, and 23% earn over $200,000. Partnering with Twit means you are going to get the gold standard in advertising with valuable services like a full-service continuity team It's going to help support everything from copywriting to graphic design. Embedded ads that are unique every time and guarantee over delivery on impressions. That is wild. We guarantee over delivery on impressions. Onboarding services and detailed reporting are offered free of cost to our direct clients. Courtesy commercials that are shareable across social media and landing pages. And I got to tell you, I pride myself on being able to provide a great courtesy commercial for our clients. When I hear from the continuity team, oh yeah, Mikah, that read that you just did, we sent it over to the clients and they were very happy with it. That means a lot to me. So I do my best to make sure that that's the case. And we also provide other free gifts like mentions in our newsletter that is sent to thousands of fans, recession bonuses, social media promotion, and value add on shows that you didn't even have to purchase. It just gets better and better. Our listeners often become our partners as well. Founder of Thinkst Canary, Haroon Mir says, quote, "We expected Twit to work well for us because we were longtime listeners who, over the years, bought many of the products and services we learned about on various shows. We were not disappointed. The combination of the very personal ad reads and the careful selection of products that Twit largely believe in gives the ads an authentic, trusted voice that works really well for products like ours. 10 out of 10 will use again. Our listeners are a highly intelligent, heavily engaged, tech-savvy audience. Are you ready to elevate your brand? Of course you are. You gotta hop on board. Launch your campaign today. Break out of the advertising norm and grow your brand by giving an authentic introduction of your products and services to a qualified audience by experts you trust. Check out what we have to offer at twit.tv/advertise. That's twit.tv/advertise. And we thank you for considering joining us and being a sponsor on the network. All right, we are back from the break, and that means it's time to play the music for our app caps. This is the part of the show where we wear silly caps to honor our app and or gadget picks of the week. These are the apps and or gadgets we are using now or have been using for some time that we think are great and want to share with you. And in order to have some fun while we cap off the show, we put silly things on, around, above, below, over our faces. Without further ado, let's talk about our app caps. Rosemary, should I go first, or do you have the app ready?
Well, my app cap is ready. I have changed my app cap because my phone, for some reason, just doesn't want to show up on the screen, or neither does my iPad. Something is up today, but that's not a problem because my backup app cap, it's right here. It's on my iPad. It's attached to my iPad. Now, I have talked about the MOFT Snap Photo Folio before, but they've got a new version of it. So this is an iPad Mini 6, and this is the MOFT case. And so what you have here in the MOFT case is the ability to just sort of pop it open and magnetize it, and it gives your iPad a little raise. So it's not sitting straight on the table or on your lap or whatever. It's standing up a little bit, and it's standing up approximately 50% of the height, away from the table or whatever. But the difference with the new version of this compared to the previous version is that there is this little triangle here in the back. And this little triangle allows you to, when you fold it out, then flip the base around and slide it in, which would be a lot easier to do if I were trying to look at the camera at the same time. And then you actually have it standing at sort of a normal height, just like the Apple sort of smart cases do or did. And this is really nice because this works in both landscape mode this way around, but it also works in landscape mode this way around, which is really nice for drawing or writing onto it.
Nice,
and
yeah.
it's this is just a really nice sort of magnetic case. It does it pops onto your iPad super easily, of course, and it sticks out from the edge of the iPad just a little bit, which means that if you've got an Apple Pencil on here, it's not going to immediately get bonked off if something happens to touch it, as happens on some other cases. But it's very nice. It comes in black, brown, or sort of light gray off whitish color. And this is available not just for the iPad mini, it's also available for the iPad Pro in the 11 and 12.9 inch options. And my favorite part is like, it looks leathery, it feels leathery, but it's actually a vegan leather. So it's not actually, no cruelty to animals or anything involved. And it's, they are doing their best to do eco-friendly, sustainable options here. So this is a really nice case option. So the iPad version coming with an extra case that fits onto the iPad Pro, which has a little sort of Apple Pencil holder, is $99.99 at the moment. But they do actually have just this case as a separate option, which I will have to double check the pricing on, but I believe it was a little bit cheaper. So this is definitely something worth considering if you're looking for a case for an iPad. And MOFT have got lots of great accessories that are worth looking into. They do MagSafe wallets and things like that as well. So, and lots of colors. It's really lovely stuff.
Yeah, the sort of origami nature of what they do is always very fascinating, and I appreciate the design. It's so smart.
Yes, I've just checked. It's $59.99 for the 11-inch iPad Pro, $69.99 for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, or $39.99 for the iPad Mini. So the case is available, on its own as a cheaper option, which is very nice.
Oh yeah, good prices too.
Yeah.
The cap atop my head is a Panama jacket, and I'm not going to keep with his accent. The app that I'm talking about this week is, I guess if people don't know what a Panama jacket, it's like a white woven hat, and then it has a black strap on it that says, I think, Panama Jack on the side. Anyway, the app that I'm talking about, it was a finalist for an Apple Design Award in the innovation category. And I'd honestly never heard of this app before. So when we were talking about last week, the Apple Design Award winners, I mentioned that there was one that I wanted to win. And Christopher Lawley was saying, I know exactly which one he's going to be talking about. And when I ended up saying Camo Studio for the Mac, he was caught off guard because he thought for sure I was going to be talking about this app. So I knew I needed to check it out because he thought that I would be super into this. And oh my goodness, am I ever. I have talked before about how I'm obsessed with sleep. That's not just a thing that I made up. I really am. I don't have it anymore, but I once had a subscription to the journal Sleep. It's very expensive, so I didn't stay with it. But I was doing a podcast on sleep science and dreams, and so I would regularly read these new studies. So now I just read the free ones that they publish. But this app is based in sleep science, and it is a really fascinating sort of joining together of what our technology can provide with what the science says and everything in between. So here on my phone, you can get a quick look at kind of what the app looks like. It gives you what's called your sleep debt. And this is kind of somewhat contentious because there is sort of a scientific belief that there's no such thing as catching up on sleep. And then there's a more modern scientific belief that maybe there is a such thing as catching up on sleep. And that when you go to sleep and your sleep hygiene is on fleek, meaning that every single day you're going to sleep on time, you're waking up on time, and you keep it consistent, everything's fine. But if you don't, then on the days where you end up sleeping in late, that is because your body is catching up on what's called sleep debt. So the app is going to, when you first set it up, it goes through this whole process. It asks for access to different information, including your phone's movement, but also to any sleep information that is stored in your Apple Health. And after that, it'll take that information and analyze what your common need for sleep is, and then it can use that to calculate your sleep debt. So for me, it was pretty accurate to what I believe about myself, which is that I need 8 hours of sleep each night. Some people need more, some people need less. I have always functioned well when I get 8 hours of sleep and had locked that in before this. So that was the first thing that kind of made me go, okay, this app knows what it's talking about. Right now, it's showing me that I have 1.6 hours of sleep debt. That's because last night I did not sleep very well. I got 6 hours and 23 minutes of sleep. So that's almost 2 hours. It's a little under 2 hours less than I normally get. So it's showing me my 1.6 hours. What's cool is that it also shows you your peaks and slumps during the day based on how you slept. So there's this sort of feedback graph, and it shows here's the total sleep that you got last night, 6 hours and 23 minutes. You went to bed at you fell asleep at a little past midnight, and you woke up at 6:30 a.m. It even shows like this is the part where you're going to have some grogginess. So your grogginess will kind of end at around 8:30 a.m. And then you're going to peak. Your energy levels are going to peak around noon, and then they're going to dip really bad between 4 and 6 p.m., which I have to tell you, that has been accurate the past several days, that every time between 4 to 6 comes around, I'm kind of getting a little low. And then it also, I love this, depending on when you should go to sleep based on when you plan to wake up the next day, it will tell you when you should start kind of winding down. And if you do take a melatonin supplement, you can add that in as well. And it'll say, this is when you should take the melatonin supplement for it to hit at the perfect time for you to fall asleep at this specific time. And then the next day, when you should wake up between 6:30 and 8 a.m. based on how your sleep debt is, how much sleep you're supposed to get, etc. Now, you can, and they also have this thing called the melatonin window. That is whenever your body is naturally putting the melatonin into your system to help you go to sleep. And then if you also take melatonin, as I mentioned, they'll suggest that earlier in the night. There's a bunch here. You can have some like sleep sounds if you need to have a brain dump before you go to bed because you commonly will sort of spin on thoughts. You can do that. It has some guidance for how to prep the bedroom to make sure that you're sleeping well. Some like walkthroughs on relaxing your body. Blue light glasses, if that's something that you think you should wear to help keep the blue light from getting into your eyes, which there's a lot of science to back that up as well. I love this, when you should stop drinking caffeine for the day, when you should have your last meal, when you should stop having alcohol, because folks, if there's anything I get through to you, it is the following. Alcohol can help you fall asleep, but it wrecks your circadian rhythm after you are asleep. It helps you fall asleep. It does not help you sleep well. So if you have trouble falling asleep, try to find a different way to help yourself fall asleep, because once you're asleep, alcohol basically drops you into your third stage of sleep, and because it sort of skips first and second level, then it just throws things off from that point on, and you don't get the proper sleep that you're supposed to get. Your brain doesn't get the refresh that it's supposed to get, and that's why you often will find yourself waking up so much earlier after you've consumed alcohol, because it's just completely wrecked everything. So if you think it, I've heard people, I've said this before, and then they go, no, alcohol helps me sleep. No, it helps you fall asleep. It does not help you sleep. Anyway, the app has these great things. So I could say, what is the half-life of caffeine in my body? So remind me to avoid caffeine after a specific time. I will say, remind me. And then I will go to my energy schedule, and it says I should not have caffeine after 1:35 p.m. So that's good to know. Will I stick to it? We'll see. But it is good to know that that's the case. I should not have caffeine afterwards. And then it also shows my current energy levels. I think this is really, there's so much to it that it is so cool. It is a subscription. It's $60 a year. I don't know yet if they have a monthly subscription. Basically, when you first use the app, it kind of walks you through everything. And then right before you get to start using it says you can do a free trial for 7 days and then it's $60 a year. Or you can do a trial for a month at, I think it was $2.99 or $3.99. So you can try it out for a month for that price. And then it goes to $60 a year. I imagine probably prorated, or no, I guess it'd be just for the next 12 months. So it doesn't really matter as far as that goes. But I am really digging this app. What I'm curious to see is how well it works without me, for example, wearing my watch to bed or using my iPhone like in bed, because that's not how I track my sleep. My 8 Sleep, who is a sponsor of the network, is my main sleep tracker at this point, and it just does it automatically, but it pops that information into Apple Health. And then this can pull from Apple Health. So I'm hoping that it'll be able to do that and not sort of need to rely on its own built-in tools, because it has like 3 different options. One is based on how much you jostle the phone when it's on the nightstand. One is where you place it on the mattress. And then the third option is where it uses a wearable like your Apple Watch. So we'll see as far as that goes. I'll report back for that. But a lot of people I know use their phone as their means of tracking their sleep or a wearable. And so I wanted to give mention to this app for that. And just downloading it to get your full kind of energy, your dips, your peaks, etc. And my sort of seal of approval, as it were, in terms of the sleep science backing up a lot of this information. I have not been this excited about an app in a long time. I'm like up excited, just because it's so cool, and it is so based in sleep science. So yeah, congratulations to the team who made this. I'm sorry that they didn't win the Apple Design Award, but hopefully they'll go on to win other awards, and they've certainly won my award for what it counts. With that brings us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today to join us live to watch the show. If you have Shortcuts Corner requests, feedback, concerns, questions, all of that stuff, you send that to iostoday@twit.tv, iostoday@twit.tv. You can also tweet at us, or Mastodon at us, or Blue Sky at us, or just reach out however you want to. By the way, to watch the show live as we record it, it's just as simple as going to twit.tv/live every Tuesday around about 9 a.m. Pacific. That is the place where you'll see YouTube Live and Twitch and all those different places where we stream the show. The best way to get the show, and the way that helps us out the most, please, you do this. Also tell your family to do this, your friends to do this, whoever you think needs to be able to check out the show. Our friend earlier, make sure that on top of listening every Wednesday, that you also please ask your friends, your colleagues to subscribe. That is the way that we get to continue making the show, because we know we've got that audience out there. Go to twit.tv/iOS to subscribe. We've got audio version of the show, video version of the show, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We try to be in all the places. We've got links to all those places, so it's very easy for you to get on board. I also want to mention Club Twit at twit.tv/clubtwit. Consider joining the club. That's the other way you can help make sure that we get to continue doing what we do here at Twit. twit.tv/clubtwit. With that, you sign up for starting at $7 a month, $84 a year, and you get some great stuff. First, you get every single Twit show with no ads. It's just the content. You get access to the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else, behind the scenes, before the show, after the show, all sorts of great stuff, including Club Twit events. Those are there as well. And then you get access to the Discord server, a fun place to go to chat with your fellow Club Twit members, and also those of us here at Twit. My dear co-host Rosemary Orchard is one of the most active hosts in the Discord, so you'll be able to hang out and chat with Rosemary there. Again, twit.tv/clubtwit. Along with all that great stuff, you can check out some great shows, including the Untitled Linux Show, which is, as you would probably guess, a show all about Linux. You can also watch Hands on Windows, featuring Paul Thurrott. It's a short format show that covers Windows tips and tricks. Hands on Mac, which is my show covering Apple useful tips and tricks. I'm really looking forward to the episode that's going to publish Thursday. I just finished talking about window management. This next episode came from a question from a listener who said, how do I back up everything that I have in Apple's cloud and in Apple Photos and all those places? How do I take all of that and put it somewhere else? So we're going to go through Apple's suggestions for that, and I'm looking forward to that episode. As well as the show from Scott Wilkinson, it's Home Theater Geeks, which just relaunched in the club. And more coming soon. Yes, we're going to have more content available to you club members, exclusive to you club members. So you got to sign up. You got to join the fun. And in doing so, also get that warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart, knowing that you are supporting us directly. All right. With that, it is time to say, Rosemary Orchard, where can folks find you online?
Well, they can find me right here on the podcast, where I will forget to describe my app cap, so I'll just mention it quickly. It's a navy cap. It's got some pink flowers on it. It's got a nice little mesh back, actually. It's quite good. And an extra wide brim to keep the sun out of my eyes. But other than that, you can find me here every Tuesday recording iOS Today in the Club Twit Discord and on my website, rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to various different places you can find me online around the internet, including rosemary@snailed.social on Mastodon. And I've been trying out Blue Sky and, posting there and mostly just reading what other people have been posting. And I'm posting a bit more on Instagram at the moment. So feel free to find me there as well. What about you, Mikah?
Awesome. You can find me at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, or head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Shout out to bento.me, I think is the name of the service, who helped me design this great page that has all the links across the web. Good stuff. And I guess now it is time to say goodbye to all of you wonderful, wonderful folks out there. Thank you for tuning into this episode or downloading this episode of iOS Today. Rosemary and I will see you next week for yet another episode. Goodbye.
I'm Jason Howell. How do you thank your hardworking team? Well, with a Club Twit corporate subscription, of course. You can show your appreciation and reward your tech team with a subscription to Club Twit, and that way they'll be informed and entertained with podcasts covering the latest in technology. With a Club Twit subscription, they're going to get access to all of our podcasts ad-free, the members-only Discord, exclusive outtakes, behind the scenes and special content, and exclusive shows like Hands on Mac, Hands on Windows, and the Untitled Linux Show. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit and look for corporate plans for complete details.